Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Callie Waterhouse with the Arizona Association of Realtors, and we are thrilled that you are with us today. We're excited to be presenting today's webinar with Holly Mabery, and we're going to be talking about 5 points to integrate into your seller counseling script, or as Holly has eloquently retitled it, Going All In, 5 tips to higher service in your next listing. So Holly has been in real estate since 1998 full-time, and so we're wondering, how long have you been in real estate? And I'm going to show you the results. Look at that. 30% of today's attendees have been in business in real estate over 10 years or more, and 31%, this is their first year. So Holly, we have quite the mixture of people who have been in real estate, I'm going to say forever, and we have some newbies. So I want to just say welcome to Holly Mabery today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are not familiar with Holly, or you haven't been in her presence, been in one of her classes, I want you to know that she is a realtor, an instructor, a speaker, a motivator, and a mentor. She is enthusiastic about life. She's passionate about people. She's a respected instructor, and she thrives on inspiring success in others. So with all of that being said, welcome, Holly Mabery.
Wow, with an introduction like that, we better kick some booty this morning. Thank you, Callie. And welcome, guys. I got to tell you, I've been working on this for the last 30 days because I really wanted to bring something to you that you can implement in your business immediately in a perfect world. But if it takes the next 30 days, I'm totally down with that. See, the reason I'm so enthusiastic about it is because it's something that's worked in my business. For those of you who are brand new, no worries, but a few years back we had what I would consider the dark times, right, around 2008, and some of you have been around since then. You remember the dark times. And I figured if I wasn't selling real estate, it was going to be very important to me to go and get in front of people and learn as much as I could. So I started taking as many classes as I could. I retook GRI classes. I took the SRS, which is the Seller Representation Specialist, and I retook the Accredited Buyer Rep, ABR. Both of those had such a drastic impact in how I do my business today that I pulled from that, and I'm going to give it to you. So when we start to think about listings, what I want to share with you is definitely going all in. And what that is in my world is skydiving. See, there's no halfway. You're either in the plane or you're out. And once you're out, you are on your way to the ground. This is my friend Mark, and he's skydiving over Cottonwood. So that is my fantastic little community. And I can speak from this firsthand because I went skydiving once and did it for my birthday, and there is nothing like it except selling real estate. And so when you start to think of your listing presentation and going to take care of somebody at their most important financial transaction in their life, it may be their biggest. It's also where they take care of their family, right? It is where they have raised their kids. It could be where they're going to raise their kids, all of those types of things. So all in, what I want to break down for you are these next five things. First, we're going to focus on what consumers want. What are they after? What do they want last? Then we're going to talk about old car, and not necessarily that rust bucket that you drove by in that neighborhood. We're going to talk about pulling back the curtain, because that is probably the one thing that we don't do very well as realtors. We need to elevate our game in pulling back the curtain, and I want to give you some techniques to do that. We're going to talk about the benefits of before. And before is before it hits the market, before the buyer shows up, the benefits of before. And as we pull back the curtain with the client, talking about those benefits, helping them understand that partnership of how we work together is going to be crucial. And then finally, we're going to finish strong, because you only get to finish a marathon by crossing the finish line. Think of that last 100 yards. Many marathoners, they sprint that last 100 yards. Forget the first 26 miles, right? which in my world, 26 miles, oh dear Lord. But that last 100 yards, you sprint for everything you have in your world because you finish strong. And that's the difference between good and great. So Callie, I want to talk about what consumers want. So we've got another poll for everybody to answer. What do you think consumers want from us?
On your screen, you'll see, what is the #1 thing consumers want from their agent? Is it to sell their house, to make money, to show them how to negotiate, or just to be honest? You have to pick just one. So what's the one thing, the #1 thing consumers want from their agent?
And this is what's so crazy. We think we know, but do we?
Here are the results.
Right on. So absolutely, overwhelmingly, consumers want us to be honest. They want us to be honest and fair in our dealings with them, which is very convenient given the Code of Ethics says all parties honestly, and the commissioner's rules in Arizona say we shall treat all parties fairly. So that's kind of a win-win for us, and you guys are already on your way. Oh, by the way, the make the money, that doesn't hurt either. And so as you start to move forward, there's a couple of different things to keep in mind. When you go in to talk about honesty, you can't really walk into a listing presentation and say, I'm the most honest realtor you've ever met, because then you sound like, I don't know, think of that used car salesman from the movies, or that politician that you just wanted to wash your hands after you spoke to them. Yeah, you can't tell somebody you're honest, but you can show them. And these are some things I want to tell you about. First, it's a little bit of homework, right? I need you to go to Realtor.com. Clients are, on average, they're starting online looking for us. They're going to be online typically 3 to 4 weeks before they ever pick up the phone and call their agent. Whether they get referred in, they're a past client of yours, they're doing their research through Google. So how you help them in being your best self and showing them what you can do for them. Realtor.com just recently did a update to their profile. And so if you haven't already, I want you to go to Realtor.com. I need you to update your profile with a good headshot. Now, when I say good headshot, let's reel this in, shall we? When it comes to a good headshot, what's important is you've absolutely positively got to show a headshot that's current, no feather boas, boys, right? And preferably you're smiling, right? There's no weird cats in it. You're not looking over the wicker chair. Make it a good headshot. Now take that headshot, and then I want you to go to Zillow, because they're looking at reviews there. They're looking at us up on Yelp. And one of my favorite places right now is Real Satisfied. This is an independent company that you can actually contract with to help you get reviews. All of these places will garner reviews from your past clients and your clients. That, people, how honest you are, how you work, how you communicate. Also, your resume up there and things like that will help a whole lot. But that's where you get into the consistently branded. How do you show up, right? Because if you show up well, people are Googling you. People are looking you up. They're looking you up on LinkedIn. If you are on YouTube at all, and friends, you are on YouTube more than you think you are. And then also your paper resume. A couple of things that I started doing in my business that made all the difference in the world. I went to LinkedIn first, and I created my online resume, if you will. Updated headshot, good information about where I was working and why I believed in what I did. And then I also translated that into 2 different kinds of resumes. One, it's very simple, very easy. It's a narrative. It's the story of Holly. It's the story of how I work with my clients. And so it goes along the lines of something like this. Holly is a 3rd-generation realtor and 3rd-generation Arizonan. She loves what she does and working and living in the community that she does. And she can't wait to show it to you. Then I go on to talk about how I work with my clients. I also talk about the designations that I've earned or my experience in the business. And then I conclude it with what my business partner affectionately calls the fluffy bunny. It is what I do when I'm not working in real estate. See, this is where you've got to become human. Our clients don't expect us 24/7. They want to know that we are actually out having a life and that we can talk about things beyond real estate. So my narrative concludes with, when Holly's not out helping people find their dream home or helping them move on to their next real estate adventure, you can find her, and currently we're into kayaks, we mountain bike, we hike, we like to paddleboard. I put that on my resume. When I first got into the business, we did a lot of stuff with horses, and so I worked with a lot of horse people. Well, we got rid of the horses because they poop a lot and they're expensive, and then we went and we bought a boat. Well, fortunately that doesn't poop, but gosh, it's kind of expensive. I was able to capture different people from those marketplaces because when they looked at me online, they felt like they knew me, they had a relationship. It made all the difference in the world. Now, the next type of resume I want you to consider putting together is your experience qualifications, because this is a bulleted resume. This is going to appeal towards your bottom line, atypical engineer, your accountant, I mean, the Joe Fridays of the world, the facts, nothing but the facts, right? And so I'm going to list out all of my accreditations that I've earned, my years of experience. This is where I also include all of the benefits of the office that I work in. You picked your company. You know why you did. Are you showcasing it? See, when I got into the business originally, I was like 23 years old. And I remember going on my first listing appointment, and I literally had to look up what the word escrow meant because I was just so green. I was right out of college, and it was so important to the sellers I was meeting with. They were in their late 70s, and they wanted somebody who was not afraid to work hard, but they also wanted to make sure I had experience. So one of the things that I did as a brand new agent is I added up all the years of experience to everybody in my office, and I put that all together. And so when people ask me the question, well, tell me, how long have you been in real estate? I was able to say, you know, I'm brand new to the business, which means I am not afraid to try. It also means I'm not afraid to go get your house sold. But I also have over 500 years of real estate experience behind me because of the office I'm with. It made all the difference in the world, especially as I worked through my 20s, because I was younger than everybody else in the room, and most of my 30s, but I digress. So the LinkedIn profile, yeah.
We have quite a few new agents online listening to us. That is so incredible. Would you mind just repeating that?
Absolutely. As a brand new agent, look at who the mentors are. And if you're in a smaller office, I was in an office of 20 people. I added up all of the years experience in the people office, and I used that as part of my resume. I leveraged the people I worked with. So when I went out on a listing appointment, I wasn't alone. And that is the keys to the kingdom. When you start to work with people, leverage the office you're with. Even if you are an office of one, there's a reason you're an office of one. Showcase that. If you're in an office of 5,000, fantastic. Showcase why you are with the biggest company in the state of Arizona. All of those things become key. The reason you picked your company, you need to showcase. Also showcase, for those of you who maybe this is your second career, please explain that in your resume. See, I came directly out of college, but in the middle of getting my degree, I worked for a radio station. I thought I was going to be a long-time radio announcer and DJ. Well, the funny thing about it is you really have to have 2 or 3 jobs to support your radio habit, and so I decided to get into real estate at a very young age. And I showcased that I was in radio. I have the ability to communicate. I'm not afraid to reach out and speak with people, but I also did a fair amount of marketing while I was in radio. So I understood the touch points to help people showcase their property. Once you've got that resume, make that part of your listing kit. And if you don't have a listing kit, now you're started. The resume makes all the difference in the world. There are 2 because they appeal to 2 different types of personalities, right? You want to reach out and you want to reach the fluffy bunny, oh, everything is wonderful, it's the heart people. Meanwhile, the experience and qualification is going to reach more your pragmatic, show me the bottom line Joe Fridays. Typically, these people are married to one another. And when you find that, now you're speaking both their languages. It made all the difference in the world, especially as I tweaked that coming out of the dark times and really working on my business the last few years. Oh, by the way, I've been in the business since 1998, so I've seen a couple of things, and I know what doesn't work, so I'm happy to tell you where I've skinned my knees, but I will tell you this really helped. Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to go to LinkedIn. I want you to create that profile, and I want you to take your narrative and your experience and qualifications, and I want you to put that on LinkedIn. See, we're going to brand yourself across every single media with the same verbiage. People will get used to seeing how you work. Same photo, same information. You've got to be consistent. Consistent is key. Now, in your LinkedIn profile, please, realtor friends, if I may ask, do not friend other realtors or connect with other realtors in your marketplace. See, the purpose of LinkedIn is for you to cast this enormous net. Think of it as going across the nation to connect with other professionals who might refer you business. If you connect with a bunch of realtors in your local area, you've just shot yourself in the foot, because are they going to refer you? No. Connect with them on Facebook, go to happy hour with them, all those types of things. But when it comes to your LinkedIn profile, that's all business, baby. I want you to drive that home. Now go to Realtor.com, update your profile, use enhance your current listings. Now, if you've got any listings at all, go in, enhance them. And what that means is, and this doesn't cost you any money, you claim your listing and you add another picture. You maybe give more information. Also, for those of you who are creating virtual tours, please put the branded tour on both Realtor.com, Zillow, and Trulia. Those are the top 3 websites that people go to search real estate. I want you to have your branded tour out there. I want your name in lights, right? I don't want it going to, a party to be named later. That makes a huge difference, and I found that it really works. I actually, night before last, sold a house off of the branded tour that I posted to my Facebook wall that a friend of mine shared. She sent it to 2 mutual friends that I didn't think were ready to buy, but it was my listing. She sent it to them. We saw the house Monday. We wrote an offer yesterday. It's been accepted today. Those things happen, and they're powerful. Use the branded tour. Then finally, go to Zillow and Trulia, and this is what I will say, friends. I don't want you to be scared of these 2. I want you to leverage them. I want you to know how they work, and then I want you to just put them in your toolbox. Don't be scared. Leverage them. So go into Zillow and Trulia. I want you to claim your past, create a profile first. This does not cost you any money. I am not an advocate. I like free. It's my favorite F word. Create things that are free that build your business. So go there, create your profile, and claim your past sales and your current listings. Now, if you've worked with nothing but buyers, awesome. Go and claim those. It makes all the difference in the world, because I've got people, my mentors, that have been in the business for, 35 years. When I look at their past sales, they're not as high as they should be because they haven't been active in this arena. Yet I've got a brand new agent who's been in the business in less than a year who looks like they have more sales online. Perception is reality. Utilize these tools and knock it out of the park. This is very simple, very easy. I don't want you to spend any money. I just want you to be clean and be consistent as you go forward. Now, when you start to think of actually working with your clients, see, we haven't even gotten to the listing appointment. We're creating that honesty and that opportunity for you even to get invited, because your clients, before they meet you, they're going to Google you. They want to make sure you're legit. The number of people that Google me and then I go on the appointment, they're like, hey, I looked you up online. It sounds a little cheesy, like a bad pickup line, but even in Cottonwood, people are looking me up. And so I have to make sure my brand out there is really good. One more piece of homework that I just want to give to you. If you haven't Googled yourself lately, please do. Set up a Google alert. And when you go into Google, Google your name, see what comes up. Ideally, if you've set up your LinkedIn profile, that should be one of the top ones. If you have a personal real estate website, Facebook is starting to come up there higher, so watch what you're putting online, because what goes online stays online forever. There is no deleting that stuff. But set up a Google alert on your name, because if you get posted online, you want to know what people are saying. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to pull out old car. And I really don't want you to think about the old car that's that rusty VW Bug. No, man, this is beautiful. This is a big deal. And when you start to think about old car, it becomes very simple, very easy. This is how you're going to treat your clients. And see, when you go into that listing appointment, one of the first things I want you to do is I want you to get that tour of the house, right? But before any substantial conversation about real estate occurs, you've got to go the next level. And so I want you to treat them like an old car. And use this script, script, dialogue, however you want to call it. This is something that I use with my clients. And I'll tell them as we get to sit down, I've had the grand tour of the property, and we're sitting down to have that conversation, right, that interview. I tell them, you know, I'm so excited to be here with you because my goal is to treat you as you would want to be treated, but as the nicest classic old car. And this is what it begins to look like. Obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, and reasonable skill and care. That is an old car. So let's break this down. If you're trying to write this out feverishly and you're a little stressed out, don't worry. Pull out your real estate agency disclosure and election. Some people call it the READE form. And when you pull this out, what's so cool about the READE form is this is already spelled out for you as a listing agent on line 9. It's awesome. It says that I have the fiduciary duties of loyalty, obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, and accounting in dealings with the seller. That rocks. Now let's break this down. I really want to go into confidentiality a little bit, because as you leverage the READE, it's a lot like holding a live alligator. Fortunately, this was a live alligator that was small, so I felt like I was okay. But when you sit down for the first time with the client, the potential client, and you're having the conversation of how you work, pull out the real estate agency disclosure and election and basically educate them that in Arizona, and this is my script, in Arizona, you get to elect your agent. And see, until you elect your agent, one of the things that you don't have is confidentiality. So until you have elected your agent, please be cautious in sharing anything that could be used against you later in a negotiation. Let me tell you, say that again. Don't say anything to someone that could be used against you later in a negotiation. That's confidentiality at a really high level. See, I'm willing to bet that 90% of the agents out there do not go over the READE form until they sit down to take the listing and you're actually signing paperwork. Oh, by the way, this works the same way with buyers. Many people do not sign the READE form until they're sitting in front of the buyer actually writing up the contract. That's too late. You've already talked about all the things that you need to do. So please, before they start to tell you, well, we need to sell because Martha's sick and we need to get closer to the kids, or this house is too much for us to maintain, that becomes a huge negotiating position. If they don't know it up front, we have not served the consumer at the highest level. Because remember, we're all in. We're going from good to great. So that confidentiality piece is key. Then talk to them about how they are in the driver's seat in choosing an agent. Now, some people, they want to interview multiple agents. I'm totally down with that. And I tell them that, great, please do. And then I'll sit back and I'll answer every question I can possibly think of that they have written down. And then, this is my favorite, they'll look at me and say, okay, what questions do you think we should be asking? And that's where I assist potential client. I will pull off of my resume, I will pull off of what my office does, I'll pull off of my marketing plan, and I'll just make gentle suggestions. Well, I would ask how long they've been in the business, how much experience they have. Now, my new agents out there, don't worry, because now you're leveraging your office. You can overcome that objection easily. I'm also going to ask, are you a full-time agent? How do you like to work? What can I expect out of you? See, setting those expectations up front make all the difference. People who have bought and sold houses in the past, they may think they know what they're doing. However, with the changes in regulations and laws, especially in the last, well, let's just call it 6 months, right, TRID, life has changed. It is more difficult now than ever. According to the recent National Association Homebuyer and Seller Survey, the millennial generation, the youngest generation, which, oh, by the way, just surpassed baby boomers as the largest home buyers out there, they're using agents. 89% of them used an agent. Wow! Then 87% of Generation X and 86% of young baby boomers. These are people, you know, like 55 and under. They're all using agents. It's growing because they know it is a difficult process. So as a seller, I may want to just stick a sign in my yard, but that's not going to cut it anymore. Using the real estate agency disclosure and election, I get to showcase how I'm going to show up for them. And that makes the next big deal when you start into your listing presentation. Talk to them about what agency means. Talk to them about how it works. Now, this leads into the next thing, because a lot of times we have a lot of agents that they totally think we are the Wizard of Oz, right? And if you haven't seen this movie lately, go watch it. It's fantastic. But I want you to picture this in your mind, right? Dorothy and the Tin Man and Toto and the Cowardly Lion and the Scarecrow, they're all walking into Oz, right? Because they need something. They're so excited and they're terrified. And then all of a sudden this big booming voice, I am the great and powerful Oz. Then there's fire and there's smoke and all this craziness, right? They're cowering, they're scared. Many agents think we are the great and powerful Oz. I will get your house sold and I will be amazing and you will love me forever. Well, that is lovely until this happens. See, somebody runs over and pulls back the curtain and showcases this little weird little man twisting all these knobs and speaking into this speaker box saying, don't look behind the curtain. There's nothing to see here. Friends, this has been us for the last, well, this has just been us. There is a better way to do this business. I want to challenge you and encourage you. You've got to pull back the curtain. We need to invite consumers and our clients in. Many of them want to be partners in this whole transaction. They want to understand better. They need a roadmap to what they're doing. And those of us who show up with a roadmap of how I'm going to get you from A to Z make all the difference in the world. Let me tell you what I mean by this. So when you start to pull back the curtain, there's a couple of things that are going to be really, really tough to explain, but the more you do it, the easier it will become. First, please explain how we get paid. One of the common scripts that I use, particularly when working with listings, is I explain that all of my risk is up front. See, they owe me nothing until their house gets sold, unless they want something crazy like advertising in the Wall Street Journal. But when it comes to virtual tours and professional photography and special signs and open houses and all of the 3D floor plans, all of these things that you do, that risk is on me up front. That is part of my marketing showcase that I end up doing. Explain how we get paid. Some buyers and sellers out there actually think that we get paid hourly. And friends, quite frankly, if we got paid hourly, we probably wouldn't be here very long, right? So talk to them about what happens. Then I want you to talk to them about being home for showings. See, talk to them about how they lose their leverage when they're home for showings in negotiations, because the buyer or the buyer's agent may pull them aside and say, so tell me why you're selling. If you flash back to when you first sat down with them and you explained the real estate agency disclosure and election, and you talked about confidentiality. See, if I get that question as a listing agent, when the buyer's agent calls and says, Holly, tell me why they're selling, I'll explain, nah, because it's time. It's a good answer, it's the right answer, and it gives nothing away with regard to the negotiation. But if they're home and they say, oh, well, Martha's sick, dadgummit, now they've lost part of their negotiating strategy. Or they could say something that overpromises something they're not willing to deliver on. We've all had those issues where the seller says, oh yeah, I'm going to take care of painting whatever, or I'm going to put on a new roof, or whatever. And then the buyer comes in with the lower offer, and no longer does the seller want to put on that new roof. But the buyer's expectation was there. And now it suddenly shows up on the buyer inspection notice and request for repairs per our conversation. All of these things can jeopardize the seller. The other thing I will say, especially with my sellers who are older, because I deal with a lot of retirees, being home for showings is stressful. They want to hover, they want to be helpful, but it's not helpful because buyers feel like they're in the space. They don't want a seller, particularly somebody who is older, to be kicked out of their house. So buyers won't stay. And really, when we're showcasing a property, we want buyers to emotionally and mentally move in. And if they're home, the sellers are home for showings, the buyer may not take that opportunity, and they may move on to the next house. In the REO downturn, we saw a lot of buyers that would rather buy a vacant home than one that was occupied, even though the one that was occupied may have been better maintained. It was crazy. But because they were able to go in and put on their rose-colored glasses of what could be, explain that to your sellers, break it down, then I seriously want you to have a conversation about open houses. Now, depending on the market you're in, open houses are fantastic. And friends, I'm not here to take anything away from you. If you're rocking it with open houses, man, don't stop. Some neighborhoods, open houses are not great. It's a great opportunity for me to spend quality time by myself in a house. And I try not to fall asleep. Everybody's different. But when sellers are demanding open houses, talk to them about what they can expect. What is the return on investment that they can expect? Because if they don't know what it is, and you've had multiple open houses, and you've only had maybe 5 people through, maybe they get frustrated that you're not doing enough. And that's not fair to you. You've got to pull back the curtain and walk them through what happens. Quite frankly, most open houses are only good for picking up buyers that may or may not buy that house. And I will tell this, every once in a while lightning does strike, every once in a while you do find a unicorn, so I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but know your business strategy, know what you're willing to do and what your marketplace will support. Speak openly and honestly about these things with your seller. That's why they hired you. That's what they expect. And then finally, talk about negotiating strategies, right? I had a seller a few years back. He came in and he said, look, Holly, I am a professional negotiator. And I'm like, great. I was super excited, hoping I was going to get to learn something. The offer comes in, and he looks at me and he goes, all right, I'll do this, this, and this, and just split the difference with them. That wasn't a strategy. That was craziness. See, when it comes to negotiating strategies, a lot of people get hung up on price, get hung up on grandma's curtains that were hanging in the bedroom, all of those different things. One of the things that I would suggest to you in your negotiating strategy is be Joe Friday. See, when it comes to listing and listing strong, this is a business transaction. It is not emotional. And you got to nail it that way. That makes all the difference in the world. Buyers, emotional. You got to feel the house, right? Negotiating is all about bottom line for sellers. It's all about the basics and keeping it business. And sometimes it's not necessarily highest price. It could be time frame to move out. It could be contingencies, all of those things. Pull back the curtain and have those honest conversations when you go to meet with the seller, because quite frankly, your value goes from good to great when you give them what they can't Google. That is our key to the kingdom. If you are going to deliver excellent service, you've got to give them what they can't Google. That is how you stand out from everybody else that you might be competing with in the marketplace. Please break down these things. Talk to them through. They want to know, especially as you look at your younger buyers. I'll call Generation X my Atari generation or my Happy Meal generation, right? We are the ones, I'm a Generation Xer, right? So we're the ones, you gave us the Happy Meal, right? You gave us that perfect sandwich, a side, a drink, a cookie, and a toy. Best day ever. That's what they're looking for now in their transaction. But they want to know that, are you going to give them more? So you give them what they can't Google. And if you do that, it doesn't cost you any money. It's just your knowledge that you already have. And that makes all the difference. So then you start to talk about those things that they can't Google and the benefits of before, because you certainly don't want to put the cart before the horse. Otherwise, you don't go anywhere. And so let's break this down. The cart before the horse really comes to this, IDX. So what is IDX? Well, it's Internet Data Exchange. Please, friends, stop talking in acronyms and realtor speak, because people don't know what we're talking about, right? It makes all the difference in the world. So a lot of people think LMAO means something. No. It means let's make an offer. So when you look at IDX, IDX is the Internet Data Exchange. When I go to take a listing this afternoon, I'm going to have my professional photographer to come out. And I use professional photos on every listing. I don't care about the price point. I want professional photos. I take a pretty good photo, but I want professional photos because that is my next level of service. I want to make sure the house looks exactly like it looks in person. And so my photographer comes out. I may not get the photos until tomorrow. I've taken the listing today. I'm not going to activate it in MLS until I have all the photos and the tours, the virtual tours. Because the minute I upload and put it out as active and I don't have the best photos for that property, IDX sends out the listing to over 500 websites, real estate related. Many of those websites do not update except for price changes and status changes. So if you have one ugly iPhone or Droid photo where your finger's partly in it, and that's what you uploaded as a placeholder till your professional photos come in or you get back out there to take something cool, that's what goes out to probably 400 plus sites that you will never be able to alter. And that's where you get ticked off sellers. You're not showcasing their property. You didn't take your level of service from good to great. You took it from good to, you went the opposite direction, and that's not what we want for you. We want you to take it from good to great. So talk your sellers through. What is IDX? Why am I going to wait until we get the professional photos? How are we going to showcase this listing, and what does it look like? You've got to tell the story of the house. Oh, by the way, friends, pick up your cell phone and look at listings either on Realtor.com or Zillow or whatever happy app you like to look at listings on, but look at it from the consumer's point of view. See, consumers will look at the first 5 to 10 photos. If the first 5 to 10 photos do not tell the story of the house, they're gone. If your first 5 to 10 photos are front side, left side, right side of the front of the house, and then one closer, I looked at a beautiful listing today from some friends of mine, and that's exactly what they did. Buyers are going to scroll by that because they don't need to look at the left side of the house or the right side of the house. Put those in for later. Show me the living room. Show me the master bedroom. Is there something amazing in the kitchen? That makes a difference. Look at your listings mobily as well as on your laptop. That consumers are searching makes all the difference. Now, the other thing about before is finding and fixing now is cheaper than when the buyer finds in an inspection period. Because if you fix it before the listing, well, a lot of times it doesn't become an issue. Oh, by the way, if a buyer finds it either during their walkthrough or their showing or the home inspector finds it, now you're going to see a lot of buyers requesting it being fixed by a licensed repairman or a licensed contractor. And this is where we see the wheels come off the bus. right? And we can all have the conversation of how to properly execute a BINSR. And that's a totally different class, Marketing Essentials, GRI, take it, it's awesome, but I digress. When you start to look at actually writing a BINSR, many buyers, they get hung up on using a licensed contractor and they want it in there. But if I found it and fixed it ahead of time, it's no longer an issue. I've removed that from being a point of contention. If a buyer finds something and asks it to be repaired, it's usually 3 to 4 times more expensive than if the seller took care of it ahead of time. Oftentimes, these items can also net you more in your initial negotiation of the sales price. So when you start to look at that, pull back that curtain, peeling paint, fix it. You're going to have to fix it later. Why fix it now when you're not under duress and stress? It makes all the difference. And walking your seller through that, I don't care what age they are, I don't care what their circumstances are, you dial that in, you pull back the curtain, and you assist them. It makes a huge, huge difference. So it's interesting. When you think about listing a house, we get training on a lot of stuff, right? We get training on how to market ourselves. We'll take contract classes, right? What's the latest change in the contract? You may be taking classes right now on how to promote your listing better, whether it's on social media or shooting video. Then you're going to take classes on disclosure and what are the new rules and laws and things like that, right? And negotiating. But what's interesting about the training that we get for the most part is really when we start to describe that to our client, this is the bulk of our listing presentation. We haven't gone much further. We talk about all of those things, but we're only halfway up the trail. How are we finishing? See, when you go from good to great, it's all about the finish. It's all about that last 100 meters in the marathon. That makes the difference, because you don't want to just get your sellers halfway up the trail and be like, dude, see it closing, bye now, because that's where things fall apart. So one of the things that I started doing in my seller counseling session up front is I kick it up a notch. I talk about the end in mind. I make all the difference in the world. So first, I talk about getting permission and what that looks like. I explain the pitfalls of the process, and I get it in writing that I have the permission to proceed. And you guys are like, well, what are you talking about? I talk about stepping up to the plate with the appraiser. So Callie, let's ask that question. How many people actually put together a packet for their appraisers?
So on your screen, you should be seeing the quick poll question. Do you provide a packet to the appraiser? Yes or no? So we have about 50% that's voted so far. In this packet, Holly, what do you think it includes? Or what, I mean, is it just comps and stuff? I mean, you're just talking, do you give stuff to the appraiser?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna actually share with you exactly what I do with every appraisal, and it's made a huge difference in my world. But I wanted to see what people were doing, just getting started in their world. All right. So how are we doing with votes?
Well, we've got about 70%, so I'm going to share the results with you.
Okay. So we're split pretty evenly.
We are.
Right on. Yeah. Okay. So how about this, friends? Let's show you what you might consider. So for my 51%ers out there, let's talk about what you can do in stepping up to the plate and working with the appraiser. First thing I want you to do, because you've already gotten permission from your seller to do these things, and you've got it in writing as part of the seller counseling session. First thing I do when an appraiser calls on my listing, see, I've changed the MLS listing instructions as far as showings. I may have taken the lockbox off or put on the C code, which is call before showing. So nobody gets access, even if the property is vacant, unless they go through me. So I'm going to ask the appraiser when they call for access, hey, are you a member of my MLS, where the property is located? Because quite frankly, if they're not a member of my MLS, where in the world are they getting their comps? That makes no sense at all. And friends, I will tell you, I've had a number of appraisers say, oh, I just go to a local real estate office, and when an agent gets up from their desk, I just sit down. And this is where I went all Holly Mabery on them. I'm like, look, you don't get to do that. You have to become a member of our MLS. It was something along the lines of, clearly you don't know who I am, but I digress. If they're not a member of my MLS, they don't get to come into the house. Because where else are they getting their comps? If they're not going to a local real estate office, they might be going on Zillow. And friends, that may not be accurate looking at this estimate. The next thing I'll ask is how many appraisals have they completed in this neighborhood in the last 30 days? If that number's not reasonable, or if they are not familiar with the neighborhood, maybe they are specialized in historic homes and they're coming out to do a horse property, or they're used to subdivisions and now they're doing condos. You want to be very cautious in this. You know your market. You know what's going on. So if that appraiser is not, for the amount of sales you've been doing, maybe you deny them access. So I'll ask the appraiser those questions. Now, given that if those answers are reasonable, I will do the following things. I'm going to meet the appraiser at the property, and I'm going to provide fully executed copies of the contract. A lot of time appraisers have not had the opportunity from the appraisal management companies to receive all that information. So I'm going to bring it to them. Then I'm going to provide, and this has been the biggest deal that has been the most helpful, a list of upgrades the seller has done to the property. Once I did that, the value, the appraiser could see what the sellers were doing, especially if it was plumbing or electrical. Then I provided the 3 like-kind sales, 1 pending and 1 active, that the seller used to come to their sales price. And then I provided comps of why not to use them. The appraiser that I worked with earlier this week, I told her, please don't use this comp because it needed new flooring, paint. It literally looked like somebody had chewed each wall of the house. The way it was sat on the lot looked like it should have had views. It had no views, but the pictures weren't reflective of that. And I wanted her to know that. There's some misunderstanding out there. You absolutely can speak to the appraiser any time up until the value has been turned in. You can give them this information, but the keys to the kingdom are this. Don't tell them you did their job. That's tacky and rude. Don't pressure for a specific number, and if you are working with a VA appraiser, whoever you are assigned is who you get to work with. VA, there's a special set of circumstances there, and so just roll with it and provide them that packet and be helpful. Again, you're looking to go from good to great. I tell you, the true story, how I've implemented this in my business since the Home Valuation Code of Conduct came into effect, I have not had a low appraisal in 5 years. It has been absolutely powerful. So I want you to know that it has made all the difference in the world because I've decided to build my business on not just being of success, but I want to be of value. I show up and I give appraisers things that they can't Google. I'm showing up and giving my clients things they can't Google. If you build your business around being of value, it makes all the difference in the world. See, you're going to set the stage. You set the stage and create expectations of what they can see going through this process. When I went skydiving for my birthday, I was so excited to jump out of this plane. I was actually ecstatic. It was kind of crazy. And it was so funny. I got there and I signed all the waivers, promising not to sue if I died and all that kind of stuff. But what was interesting is the one thing that they taught us how to do, and they taught us over and over again before we ever got into the plane, was how to land. They set the expectation of, hey, we're going to get you on the ground safely. We're going to show you how to do this. I was super stoked to jump out of a plane. I probably should have been more excited that I could land safely. But, you know, I had it backwards. Then they showed me how. They showed me how to land. They showed me where to put my arms, what would happen if one chute didn't open, and how they would manage the other chute, how to hold my body in the air. They explained how they were going to get me to the ground. And friends, if you do that in your listing presentation, you do that before you even meet with people, and you start to talk about how you are going to pull back the curtain. You're going to show them honesty before you even meet with them by upgrading all of your profiles on social media and on LinkedIn and having that listing packet together. Then you're going to talk to them about confidentiality and your fiduciary responsibilities in the real estate agency disclosure and election. And if you do that first, you'll be amazed the number of people that hire you right on the spot, because if they've interviewed other agents, those other agents haven't talked about that. They're more focused on marketing or what the price is. No, we're going to get to that, but let me tell you about how I'm going to protect you. It's my job to keep you from playing in traffic. It's my job to keep you from grabbing the hot pan on the stove. It's my job to get you safely on the ground. You do those things, you pull back the curtain, you set those expectations, and I promise your listing presentation will go from good to great. The value you have will go from good to great. The ability to justify what you get paid will go from good to great. I really hope this has been helpful. I think we've got a few minutes for a few questions, so we can finish strong today together. Callie, so I'll turn it back to you and see what people would like to know.
Holly, you're don't laugh, but if you go back about 11 slides to the picture of, let's see, think about listing a house, and you talk about, getting training and marketing yourselves. 7 people have asked, is this you?
No. You know what? I'll jump out of a plane. I've gone bungee jumping, but I do not do this kind of high wire walking. This is a very good friend of mine, Emily, who she does slacklining, and this is her slacklining in Sedona. She gave me permission to talk about being a bird on a wire and only going halfway.
That's amazing. So also during this time, I just want to reiterate, and I want you to say this again. It was so poignant. When you're creating your resume, it's no longer the one-page bullet points. I do this, I do that, I've done this, I'm wonderful. You are telling the story of Holly.
Yeah, guys, at the end of the day, people want to know they can relate to us, and that's the value in it. People want to know about you, and sometimes especially the heart people that you get with, the emotional feeling people that are out there, they if you're used to the disc presentation, these are your high eyes. These people want to relate to you, and sometimes if you tell them a story, they're all in. And that makes all the difference. And that's why I do 2 different types of resumes, and I put them together in all of my listing packets, because I need to be able to tell you a story about why you might want to hire me. And then I'm going to back that up with surveys and feedback from and reviews from my clients, whether it's on Real Satisfied or Yelp or Zillow or Realtor.com, so I am backed up that I am who I say I am.
Sure, that makes sense. Now, you talked about the Realtor.com profiles and the Zillow and the Trulia, and those are things that our customers or clients are doing for us. What happens if, say they're going along and they're typing and stuff, and there's a typo or something, and we really have no control over it, but it does kind of make us look unprofessional. Any thoughts or feedback on something or handling something like that?
Sure. Reach out to customer service in all of those cases. And when you start to look at garnering client feedback on one of those 3 sites, it gets a little tough, and you only want to ask your clients once. And this is where you might look at, I would say pick a winner. You haven't started getting reviews, I would pick a winner, either Realtor.com or Zillow, and go forward. The other thing that I'm finding is everybody's got a smartphone. Take a video. Take pictures with your clients on the day of closing. Take pictures of them opening the door for the first time to their new home, or holding the sold sign, or whatever makes them happy, and use those and attach them. Realtor.com allows you to actually put those photos in next to their review, which is pretty sweet. The company that I mentioned that a lot of people are using, Real Satisfied, actually will survey your clients for you. There is a cost. I don't know what the cost is, but see if that feels right for you. Everybody's business is different. But I will say this, if you don't ask your clients what they liked, how do you know how to serve the next ones better? You've got to follow up with your clients and ask more questions.
Absolutely. Great. If you forward about 5 slides to the list of the items you provide to the appraiser, we've had a couple.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then
Definitely.
the second question that kind of goes along with this is, can you request a different appraiser if you don't feel the original appraiser is right for the property?
Yeah, so this is what I would say. When I have had to deny appraisers, I don't meet them at the property. They don't get access. See, friends, once they have access, they're doing the appraisal. They've already spent time and money in that respect getting out to the property. So you have to honor these folks in their business practices. But we're here to pick each other up. So if you have to deny an appraiser because they're not a member of your MLS or they are not used to that area, have never done a horse property or whatever you're selling, just say, thank you very much for your time. My seller has authorized me to deny you access based on your area of expertise. I wish you all the best. Hang up the phone. You don't have to justify it beyond that. And then immediately call the lender. Call the lender and let them know this appraiser has never done a horse property. This appraiser doesn't know anything about historic homes. Whatever that may be, break that down with the lender because they want to know. See, I'm not making this information up. I got this from an appraisal class I attended at the National Association of Realtors convention a few years back, and it made all the difference in my business. So I just want to share it with you. Hopefully it'll help.
Absolutely. And Holly, like you said, you're putting a CBS code on it. You're taking the lockbox off. So they really cannot access the property without going through you.
That is correct.
Okay. So I'm going to change the slide so you can get Holly's contact information. And on it, you're going to see her name, all of her designations, her Gmail address. It's hmabery, it's Mabery @gmail.com. And her website is hollymabery.com. And Holly is open to your questions. You can feel free to reach out to her. Holly, do you have a couple quick sentence wrap-ups? I want you to talk about using the word showcase. I instantly picked up on it when you said you have a marketing showcase. I loved this word. It's so not passé. It sounds proactive. Can you talk about that just a little bit more?
Well, yeah. Friends, we live in Arizona, which is like awesome, right? And so our whole goal is to showcase the Arizona lifestyle. Now, I don't care if you're in Central Phoenix and you are selling these amazing lofts that are walking distance from light rail that take you downtown or to Tempe or whatever it may be, or if you are out in the, in horse property, whatever it may be, mountains, desert, Lake Havasu, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to showcase where you live. One of the things I really try to encourage, and we talk about a lot in the Resort Second Home Property Specialist class, how to showcase your listing to adapt to the lifestyle that is surrounding it. You want to talk about, what kind of lifestyle people can enjoy living in that house. Yes, it's 3-bedroom and 2-bath. I can get that from the scroll down menu. That's what I put in. But I want you to really get in deep as far as what people can expect in living in that area. Why do you live in that area? What is special about it? Is it close to golf? Is it close to all these different things? That makes a difference when you go to showcase the property. In your marketing remarks, talk about what's special about the property and the lifestyle, not just, how shall I say it, the floor-to-ceiling walls. That's boring, and anybody can take a picture of floor-to-ceiling walls. Talk to me about lifestyle. That's what you showcase.
Absolutely. And then, Holly, just taking it one step further, we were talking about sellers. So on the screen, today's attendees can see the information about the Seller Representative Specialist designation. And I know that you have this designation. You teach this class. What would be a benefit for our members to take their education one step further and pursuing the SRS?
What I loved about the SRS is it was a game changer for me. This is the complement to the Accredited Buyer's Rep class, and basically it's the focus on how we showcase our services, how we break them down and make a difference in how we take care of them. We're taking our service from good to great, and so the SRS focused me on what those services are, how I can serve my clients at a higher level, and it was tremendous. So I'm very passionate about this class. I've seen what it does for people. In fact, I got an email. I had the pleasure of teaching this class last week at Weimar. Got an email from a gal this morning who just raved on about how this class helped her, and she's got a couple of tips that she was actually able to win a listing in the last couple of days because of this class. So if you're looking to dive deeper improve your listing skills, definitely check out the SRS class, which will be coming to an association near you very soon.
Wonderful. And on the screen, folks, you can check them out at srscouncil.com. And of course, what would a webinar be if we didn't talk about GRI? So at any given time, there could be more than 80,000 real estate agents practicing in Arizona. So we all are looking for ways to set ourselves apart. So we encourage you to check out the website at azgri.com or connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/GRI Arizona. And Holly, what's your 2 cents on GRI?
You know what? Do it. Just do it. I don't know what you're waiting for. Do it. Probably the best classes you can dig in and get. And I will tell you, with the changes happening in our business right now, you want to get more in depth and dig into agency and leveraging that in your business. It's sexy and it's awesome. Take the agency class. And then we've got the Market Essentials. I love this class because it is down and dirty, hands-on, what you need to know working with sellers, buyers, setting them up for success and expectations, and then also working with the home inspector and appraiser and writing a good Binzer. Come on, who doesn't want to do that?
Absolutely. And I think the one thing that I hear the most often is the GRI program should be like required for all brand new agents.
You know what? It's probably the best thing. The class I just taught, there were folks in there who literally got into the business 6 months ago and just completed their GRI. So don't wait for it. Go all in.
Absolutely. And Emery says GRI contract class is the absolute must, and I would agree with that. You're going to see some of our upcoming webinar presenters. If you haven't registered for any of the webinars for the rest of the year, you can see them online on our calendar. And of course, all of our webinars are recorded and available online. Link is on the screen as well. Right now we have about 41 webinars in our library, but I got to tell you, the most popular webinar to date is on our website, so you have to log in to see it. If you go up to the top and type in HOA Addendum, you would hear Holly's very first webinar that she did with us, and I got to tell you, without a doubt, it is the most popular webinar we have recorded to date. So kudos, Miss Holly. Anybody?
So hopefully we'll just continue to build your business. So.
Yes, well, if anybody can make the HOA addendum sound exciting, it's definitely Holly. Thank you so much for joining us today. And everybody, Holly, I'm looking at a litany of wonderful comments that have been left for you today. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And friends, if I can ever be a resource for you and help you in any way, please reach out. Let me know, and if not, I will see you at your next GRI, ABR, or SRS class. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Holly, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a great day.